Alright, this is chapter 5, page 2. Let's take a look at what we're doing. You should have done this deposit slip as an entrance slip when we walked in. And we talked about how deposit slips work. So you should have more of an understanding now. Maybe you're not an expert, but you should have an idea of how a deposit slip works. So let's take a look real quick. Some of the things we've talked about, you should be able to write a check by now. We talked about that yesterday as well, kind of where things go. We did a sample. Hopefully you figured that out. And here we are on a deposit slip. You did that yesterday. This is what we did when we started. So now let's get started on our chapter 5, page 2 notes. Alright, so the first thing is here we have a deposit slip. And you'll notice up here in the corner right here, you have something that looks like this. So right here we have the question, and it's on your notes for page 2. What is this? Okay, what is it? Alright, so it is a printed verification of the deposit returned to the depositor for proof. So when you make a deposit, you deposit money in a bank, they're going to give you a copy of your deposit slip, and on there they will have printed what you see, something similar to that, on the deposit slip. Okay. Now the question is, what does all this stand for? Okay, what does all of these items stand for? Well, let's take a look. So the August 1, and it'll be 2015, 16, whatever the year is the day the amount was deposited. So the day you make that deposit will be what is stamped up there. Now you have this D5000. Alright, that's the amount that you deposited in the bank. So on this transaction here, there was a $5,000 deposit put into the account at the bank. And then you're going to have some letters here. So the example is RDS. That is going to be the bank employee who accepted the deposit. So we have the date, the amount you deposited, and who did the transaction for you. So if there's any questions, we have an idea who we need to go back and talk to figure out what happened. Okay, so this is some information about a deposit slip. You need to make sure that you have it on your notes. There's a spot there on your notes that you can place that. Alright, so we did the practice activity. We did the entrance slip, explaining how a deposit slip works. Actually, let's go take a look. Okay, here we have it. Let's see. Okay, we have chapter 5 notes. Alright, here's what you should have. You should be copying your information on here. I just explained to you how everything works here at the top. Now we have the practice activity. So here's what I want you to do. Now using your page 1 notes, because I showed you on page 1 where everything goes on a deposit slip. We did an example at the beginning of class today. Okay, so we're going to see how well you can fill out a deposit slip now. So here's what we have. This is the practice. You have a blank deposit slip up at the top, and here are the items that you are going to be depositing into your bank using the deposit slip that you have. So here's what I want you to do. Down here at the bottom of your notes, I want you to write down the checks. So you have 2 checks. Here they are right here. I want you to write them down individually, each one of them. Write them down in the notes area right here. Now you have the cash section. Okay, here's your cash. Paper money, that's the cash. And then we also have the coin. So add up the coin that you see down here at the bottom also. And write it down here in the coin section. So you have your checks, you have your cash, and you have your coin. I want you to write this information down here so that you understand how you filled out the deposit slip for the notes. Now using this information you see here, using that information, and then also on page 1, at the bottom of page 1, we went over here where everything goes, so you can refer back to page 1 as well. So you're going to use page 1 at the bottom. Okay, you're going to use the entrance slip that we did today for deposit slips, and you're going to use this information here to complete the deposit slip that you find here on page 2. Alright, so here's the information. use this to complete the deposit slip. If you have any questions, let me know, but you will need to have this in your notes. So if you need to go back or pause this, go ahead.